movie.
Right. 2 old movies.
Yeah.
They had 2 different movies.
Okay. So here, let me read these off. See if you know them. A futile and stupid gesture. Ever heard of it?
Nope.
1922.
Nope.
Mascots.
Nope.
I didn't feel at home in this world anymore.
Nope.
Uh, The Irishman.
Nope.
Let's see. Come Sunday.
Nope.
6 Balloons.
Nope.
Bright.
No.
It's that part. That was supposed to be a big hit for them. Apparently, it was a big flop. Oh man, just so much stuff, dude. It's like you wonder why people are like don't watch you at are only buying people are only buying Netflix to watch old stuff.
Yeah.
And that's Netflix. Netflix kind of understood that when they were just a movie rental service.
Right.
When they were just competing with Blockbuster. But once they started trying to make their own stuff, it's like, dude.
Well, even when they were a streaming service, because they still do the and this is what bothers me. I think they should just drop the DVD rentals.
Yeah.
And just put all their movies on Netflix.
Yep.
Because they'll pull like popular ones, they'll pull off, and they'll make only through the mail service.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't want to pay another, because you've got to pay a second fee. Because I'm a Netflix subscriber, you have to pay a second fee
To get delivered.
to get the movies, to get like the movies delivered to your house.
But it's stuff like that. The movies are never that great. The product they put out there is never that great. It costs too much.
Right.
If for anybody else, it'd be considered a box. If it was a Hollywood thing, that producer would be considered a flop, and they wouldn't work in Hollywood for a long time.
Right.
They wouldn't be given a whole lot of chances after the flop. So if something's flopping that bad, and you keep hiring these people back, or keep hiring, or more importantly, I guess the Netflix execs are hiring the same kind of people.
Right.
It's like, yeah, can't imagine why you're having issues with your new stuff.
Yeah,
like
The Ranch. I've heard The Ranch isn't even really that great of a series.
I started watching it. I thought it was okay. It wasn't like out of this world funny, but it's also, honestly, you have 2 characters on there on the ranch that were from that 70s show.
Right.
And you still can't make it funny. And they're brothers, so they interact all the freaking time.
Right.
You still can't make it that funny. It's like there's a reason. You guys aren't. They don't hire good people to do their stuff.
No, they don't. And like I said, Gilmore Girls was one of those where they took it from an old series. A lot of people wanted to see it. They had all the original actors and actresses, and the way they did it was actually kind of smart. They did it like 4 episodes, and they were like hour to 2 hour long episodes.
Yeah.
So they were like essentially like 4 movies.
Okay.
And they were really good. They really played upon, like the actor that played the grandpa had passed away.
Yeah.
So they killed off his character. And you know what I mean? But they've just shown like how some of the characters have evolved, and where they're at now, and some of the struggles that they are having now, and
yep.
Just the way that it ended was just it's really good. If you ever like the original series, I would suggest you go and watch that. But like Netflix, like I said, I think they've been pretty decent at certain things. But that one was pretty much all laid out in front of you. All the actors, the entire cast wanted to do it again.
Yeah.
They all knew their characters. They were all really good at playing their characters. All you had to do was have a good storyline.
Yeah.
And the storyline for Gilmore Girls was great.
Yeah.
And when it comes to some writers, I feel like some of the writers they have aren't that bad. But I don't know. For this one, it could have been the original writers, the original everything. It was just sitting there. All they had to do was wait for someone to pick it up and run with it.
I mean, well, it's we even suffer more on Netflix is their animation division.
Right.
Their own animated stuff, for the most part, sucks.
I don't know. Have you seen the new Magic School Bus? Because that looked pretty good.
I've heard it's terrible though.
Have you?
Not terrible, but it's not the old one.
Right.
And that's part of the issue. Because they got a new voice actress.
Well,
they switched out the voice actress from Miss Frizzle.
They didn't just switch them out.
Yeah, they did.
No, they didn't. No, they what they did is the first episode they had Miss Frizzle pass the keys
No,
to the school
yeah,
bus
that's
to
what, I
her
know
sister.
that. Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's why I said they didn't just swap them out because they had the original voice to Miss Frizzle.
Yeah, for a freaking scene.
Right.
That's what I mean. They dropped her. They said, "Oh, hey, can you come back and read like 5 lines?"
I think she didn't want to do it. I think
Could
that's
be,
why. I think she didn't want to do it anymore. I mean, I applaud the way that they did it. Most people would just keep the same character, drop the voice actor, get a new voice actor.
Which I would have been fine with.
That bothers the crap out of me.
Well, see, the reason I say I'm fine with it because guess what? When did the Magic School Bus come out? When we were kids.
Right.
You know. Not even that. I think it was before we were kids, actually.
Right.
When the Magic School Bus came out. So you have an entire generation that watched maybe a few Magic School Bus episodes when they were in elementary school. None of the kids nowadays watch Magic School Bus. You know.
Right.
Because they can all get documentaries. Like let's. Yeah, from 94 to 97. So it was made when we were kids. Like we were 3 years old by the time it got done. And we still watched it in the 2000s. So I think also the other issue is that the old Magic School Bus, hand drawn. This one, completely Flash animated.
Right.
And it looks like it was made by Flash.
Yeah, it does.
It does not move well.
Right. Another series that's really good that I watched is one called Atypical. Have you heard of it?
Is that the one with the guy with the mental?
Yeah, he has a
so like a social.
He's on the
interaction?
spectrum.
Yeah, he's on a social. Isn't a social
Yeah,
interaction.
that one wasn't that bad. That one was actually really good.
I actually thought that looked good. Was it good?
Yeah, it was really good. I watched the first season. I'm excited for the second season actually.
Yeah.
So if you thought it looked good, it does. It's actually better than you think it would be. And I mean, I'm not dissing Netflix. I love my Netflix. You know, I mean, as much as I hound on them because they'll have an episode or like the second version of something and not the first.
Yeah. Which, yeah, like same here. I don't hate Netflix. I just wish they would stop pretending that they were doing, some kind of. They were doing a great job.
I think they're like an artist. The thing that I can find comparable to them is like an artist. You have a lot of artists that just pump out albums.
Yeah.
And they have one, maybe 2 hits.
Yep.
And they just keep pumping them out. I love Brad Paisley, but he did this for a while. He would kind of, he'd pump out an album and it would have 1 to 2 hits on it.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of kind of other crap. And then he'd pump out another album very soon after that. Zac Brown Band takes a lot of time between albums.
There's at least a year between each album.
Right.
Yeah.
And like their first album had 4 or 5 hits on it.
Yeah.
And then their second album, the same thing. So it's kind of the same thing. Netflix is kind of like, they pump out series, and if they don't get the good ratings, they flop on them.
There's hoping one latches, yeah.
Well, and the other thing that bothers me is, okay, you started this series like Girl Boss, okay? They had 1 season. It didn't do as great as they thought it would. Give it a second season.
Yeah.
I would give it 1 extra season to kind of wrap things up.
Exactly. Like for a better example for that, even like if you want to compare it to the TV industry, I know it's a little bit different between streaming services and TV because TV you tend to have even more of a budget. But like I said, I was watching Cheers.
You're right.
Guess what happened the very first episode? The very first episode of Cheers.
What happened the very first episode of Cheers?
Out of the 77, they said out of the 77 TV shows that were on at that time,
right?
It was 77th. One of the most popular sitcoms of all time. The very first episode was ranked 77th that week.
Really?
And then after that, but guess what? They tried it out. They kept going. Okay, we're gonna give it another season. Guess what? 11 seasons.
Yeah.
11 total seasons, and it was the best show on for like 6 or 7 years in a row. It kept getting voted best show on TV. Emmys and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, what did you? If you don't give it a chance, it's like Sense8, right?
Yep.
The one that cost so much, you gave it a chance, and guess what? It still didn't meet expectations. Okay, then cut it. Cut your losses where they stand.
Well, and that had 2 seasons.
Yeah, that's
that
what
had
I mean.
2 seasons, 22 episodes, 1 Christmas special. Because it was funny because I'm looking at a list of, 50 best Netflix original series, and this made number 19.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, for 2 seasons, they gave 2 seasons. It was canceled. Cool. Like I said, Girl Boss, and this really irritates me if you can't tell. I really liked the show. I thought it could go somewhere, and they canceled it after 1 season.
Yeah.
That bothers the crap out of me, you know, because there's other series that I don't like. There's one other series that I like that's 1 season. I don't know if they're gonna bring it back. It's called End of the Effing World.
Yeah.
And it's like a dark comedy, and it's about a kid who you essentially figures out he wants to try to kill someone.
Oh yeah, I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really.
And he meets this girl, and
he's like, "I want to kill you."
Right. And then he finds out, and it just goes through. And the way it ended, it was I couldn't stop watching it.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I'm kind of like, what am I watching? Why am I watching? But I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
And I got to the end, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait for season 2. Yeah. It was, but those are the kind of, and then they've got 13 Reasons Why.
Which should never have been made in the first place.
Why?
Are you kidding me? I'll admit I didn't watch it. I will admit that right now.
Okay.
Right. But a lot of people's problem with it was that it glorified suicide.
No, it didn't.
That's not.
Side note of here's exactly why I do, like this. These are the chain of events that led up to
me
killing myself.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it glorifies it at all. I actually think it kind of gives some insight into why some of these people are doing this, and what what are some ways that we could try to prevent it. What are some signs that we and they go through, like they show all the signs of somebody who's they kind of start to keep to themselves. They really don't talk to anybody. So I don't know. I don't think. I think
that's what that wasn't just like one person.
Right.
I've heard from my sister, who herself does have depression /
Right.
anxiety issues.
Well, my girlfriend has the same thing.
She watched it and she was like, "Yeah, that was not a good show."
Like I said, my girlfriend has she has issues just like that, and she actually liked it because it made
made sense to her.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah,
and it's one of those where it's not really for everyone.
No.
I will agree to that. But I also think that some people that are saying that it's glorifying suicide are some of the same people that probably, their parents said that Looney Tunes was bad for children because it was violent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're blaming TV for the fact that some of these things are happening. Mm-hmm. And I mean, granted, somebody brought up a point the other day that I kind of agree with. They say in our society now we've kind of, with all the violent video games, movies, and whatever, kids are kind of numb to violence. Yeah. Which I would agree with to an extent.
Yeah. That's why I.
But I also agree that it's the parents' responsibility as well.
Oh, that too. I never used to believe that video games were, caused violent tendencies. But, as you look, like you said, as you look at it, we have a culture with video games, music, movies, whatever it is, where people, talk about killing people, talk about getting shot, doing the shooting yourself.
Right.
That's why the one scene from one of the Call of Duty games was so heavily panned, because it has you being a Russian terrorist going around shooting up an entire airport.
Right.
Right. So.
Well, and then you've got the there was a one of the Grand Theft Auto games wasn't really that well accepted because it had you crashing a plane into a building. Yeah.
Well, I mean, for those of you who want to know your video game history, Grand Theft Auto is the reason you have an ER. Or no, that's right. It's not Grand Theft Auto. That was Mortal Kombat. Never mind.
Mortal Kombat's the reason you have
the ERSB rating system.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was the first video game to ever show blood.
Hmm.
Or at least graphically like that. That was bad. But I don't know why I thought Grand Theft Auto. But no, granted, I think a lot of people who do tend to have violent tendencies do end up playing those video games because that's the way for them to live out those violent tendencies.
Right.
And
well, like I said, it's also up to the parents. Like I played Grand Theft Auto when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I'm running around, and I mean,